These are 12 of the most powerful big block V8 engines ever made, with 600 to over 1,000 horsepower. Get ready to see engines that make cars roar like never before. Number 12, Chrysler 426 Hemi. The Chrysler 426 Hemi V8 engine crafted to dominate both the street and the racetrack. The reason it is so extraordinary starts with its hemispherical combustion chambers. Imagine a tiny dome where fuel and air meet, burn, and explode with maximum efficiency. This dome shape is perfect for producing more power while keeping the engine breathing freely, which is exactly what makes the Hemi roar so loud and fast. The 426 Hemi was created from the bottom end of an earlier high-performance engine, but engineers did not stop there. They enlarged it to 426 cubic inches and combined it with hemispherical heads that allowed bigger valves to gulp air and exhale exhaust with almost no resistance. This meant the engine could produce 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. That is a tremendous amount of twisting power, pushing the car forward, making acceleration feel like a rocket launch every time the pedal is pressed. One of the clever tricks of the Hemi is its domed pistons. The dome matches the hemispherical heads to create a perfect combustion chamber that maximizes pressure, turning every drop of fuel into as much power as possible. This also helps the spark plug, located right in the middle of the chamber, to ignite fuel evenly, creating a strong and fast flame front. The result is explosive power delivered smoothly and reliably, a combination most engines can only dream about. Because the intake and exhaust valves are on opposite sides of the chamber, the engine gets a cross-flow design that keeps airflow efficient. It also means the Hemi can handle a lot of high-speed performance without losing power, which is why it ruled racing circuits for years. The wide cylinder head and UE rocker arm setup might make it look complicated, but that complexity is exactly why it performs so incredibly well. It transforms a simple push of the accelerator into a controlled surge of energy that feels unstoppable. The Hemi does have a few quirky requirements, like needing higher octane fuel to keep everything running smoothly. That is a small price to pay for an engine that produces a thunderous roar, tears through tracks, and delivers power in a way few other engines can. Number 11, Ford 429 Super Cobra Jet. Now, meet the Ford 429 Super Cobra Jet, a muscle car motor that takes power and precision to a whole new level. This V8 doesn't just move cars, it hurls them down the road with a torque-filled shove that makes drivers grin like they just found a hidden candy stash. Its semi-hemispherical heads allow air to flow with minimal resistance, making the engine breathe better, burn fuel faster, and deliver monstrous torque to the wheels. That torque comes in at 450 pound-feet, strong enough to make any street or strip feel like a launch pad. The 429 started life in Ford's big car lineup, but quickly found a purpose beyond normal driving. By installing larger ports, improved heads, and a massive Holley carburetor, the Cobra Jet version became a fire-breathing predator of the drag strip. Its compression ratio pushes the limits of performance, giving the engine the ability to explode with power every time the throttle opens. Even the so-called conservative rating of 370 horsepower cannot contain what this engine is capable of in real-world conditions, where enthusiasts regularly squeeze much more out of it. Forged internals, robust 4-bolt mains, and an external oil cooler ensure that the motor can handle repeated full-throttle runs without breaking a sweat. The domed pistons and angled valves create a combustion chamber that maximizes the energy from every drop of fuel, while the semi-hemispherical design keeps airflow smooth and efficient. That combination means the Super Cobra Jet doesn't just go fast. It goes with authority, precision, and a soundtrack that will make any V8 fan weak in the knees. It also has the versatility that makes it a standout. This engine was not just a one-trick pony. It fit in cars like the Mustang, Torino, and even some full-size models, proving that raw power can be adaptable. Modern builders love the Cobra Jet and Super Cobra Jet because with careful tuning, porting, and balance, it is possible to unlock even more than 100 additional horsepower, transforming an already potent motor into a straight-line missile. Every time the 429 Super Cobra Jet spins, it reminds the world why Ford engineered it, to dominate the quarter mile, impress with torque, and set the standard for what a muscle car V8 can deliver. Number 10, Chevrolet ZL1427. The Chevrolet ZL1427 V8 is a marvel of engineering. designed to thrill, shock, and leave everything else in the dust. Chevrolet rated the engine at 430 horsepower, but dyno tests showed output closer to 550 horsepower. Its all-aluminum block makes it lighter than the regular cast-iron versions, yet tougher where it counts. This means it can rev higher, react faster, and deliver incredible performance without the extra weight slowing it down. Every bolt, every cylinder, and every valve is crafted to squeeze out maximum horsepower. And yes, we are talking over 600 horsepower, roaring from a single 4-barrel carburetor. The camshaft of the ZL1 is a work of art. It lifts the intake valves to over half an inch, opens them just at the right crank angles, and keeps the exhaust moving efficiently with lifts of even more than half an inch. The timing is precise, making sure the air and fuel mixture enters the cylinder perfectly and leaves efficiently after combustion. This careful orchestration delivers torque that doesn't just move the car. It slings it down the track like it's competing against gravity itself. Think of the headers, measuring over 2 inches in diameter, as the engine's lungs, breathing in and pushing out exhaust with the force of a hurricane. The pistons are shaped to match the new open-chamber cylinder heads, improving flame travel and efficiency. Compression is high, but controlled, so this engine loves to rev and responds instantly to the throttle. The connecting rods are beefy, the bolts are stronger, and the crankshaft is precision-engineered from treated steel. Every part works together like a team of superheroes, each one performing a critical role to maintain peak performance and reliability. Even the gaskets are designed to seal perfectly, preventing leaks while handling the extreme pressures generated in each cylinder. Airflow is king here. Intake ports are reshaped to direct the fuel-air mixture straight toward the valves, while exhaust ports are optimized for maximum exit speed. The result is smoother breathing, more power, and a torque curve that can make a quarter-mile drag strip feel like a roller coaster. Volumetric efficiency is high, meaning this engine can pack in more air and fuel than almost anything else in its era, turning it into a monster on the street and track. Every time the 429 Super Cobra jet spins, it reminds the world why Ford engineered it: to dominate the quarter mile, impress with torque, and set the standard for what a muscle car, V8, can deliver. And right here, Chevrolet's ZL1427 continues that story, giving fans an aluminum powerhouse with camshaft lifts, optimized combustion chambers, and exhaust flow that practically yells, "I am speed." From cylinder liners to piston tops, from rockers to intake runners, every detail screams performance, proving that when it comes to muscle, this engine doesn't just participate, it commands. Number 9. Ford Lima 460. Hold on tight, because we are about to meet a V8 that doesn't just move a car, it drags mountains, hauls oceans, and still grins at you while doing it. The Ford Lima 460 V8 is the definition of muscle, torque, and dependable power, all rolled into one engine that has earned respect for decades. With a massive 460 cubic inch displacement, this engine was built to pull weight like a champion wrestler, yet stay smooth enough to carry a luxury sedan full of passengers without breaking a sweat. It may not have always shown the highest horsepower on the sticker, but every turn of its crankshaft proves that real power isn't just numbers. It's what the engine can do when called to action. This engine thrives on torque, especially at low revolutions per minute, which is why trucks, vans, and motorhomes loved it for decades. The Lima 460 was part of Ford's big block family, designed with a long stroke and wide bore that allowed it to breathe deep, push hard, and pull with authority. Its naturally aspirated overhead valve design means each cylinder gets the right amount of air and fuel, ignites precisely, and delivers smooth, relentless power to the wheels. Imagine a push so strong that even the heaviest load feels light, and you begin to understand why this engine became a favorite in work vehicles and massive passenger cars alike. Deck height starts at over 10 inches, rod length stretches past 6.5 inches, and bore spacing gives it room to expand while maintaining stability. The valves, 2 per cylinder, open and close at perfect timing to let the engine inhale and exhale like a champion athlete, while pistons travel inside the cylinders with precision crafted to handle extreme pressure. Compression ratios range from 10.7 to 8.5 to balance power and efficiency, and the engine could produce torque well over 395 pound-feet, giving it that strong pull from idle that made drivers feel unstoppable. Even when emissions rules and extra accessories tried to limit it, the Lima 460 remained a reliable workhorse. Early engines made 365 horsepower. Later versions adapted to regulations but kept torque high. And with minor upgrades like better carburetors, headers, and cam timing, horsepower could be released to levels that left many surprised. Airflow is optimized for maximum efficiency, exhaust is directed to clear quickly, and the engine's durability means it can handle repeated stress without complaint. Every part, from crankshaft to pistons, from heads to rods, is built to work in harmony, creating a package that is as tunable as it is strong. And here's the truth: despite being considered a work engine, the Ford Lima 460 can still roar with authority when asked, proving that big displacement, smart engineering, and careful timing create an engine that is powerful, dependable, and endlessly respected. Number 8. Cadillac 500. The Cadillac 500 cubic inch V8 is pure low-end torque magic, built to move enormous luxury sedans like they were featherweights. With a full 500 cubic inch displacement, this engine delivers effortless power at low revolutions per minute, meaning the massive Fleetwood Eldorado glides down the road as if it is floating, while drivers enjoy smoothness. It feels more like a cloud than metal. Every turn of the crankshaft releases 550 pound-feet of torque at just 3,000 revolutions per minute, giving this engine a push that can pull, haul, and accelerate with astonishing calm. The Cadillac 500 started life as a stroker version of the earlier 472 V8, lengthening the crankshaft stroke from 4.06 inches to 4.304 inches, while keeping a bore of 4.3 inches. This increased displacement allowed the engine to move the heaviest Cadillacs with ease. Deck height exceeds 10 inches, bore spacing reaches 5 inches, and every cylinder is built to handle the immense pressures needed to generate its remarkable torque. Valves, pistons, and combustion chambers were carefully designed for smooth flow and controlled ignition, letting this 8-cylinder Leviathan deliver power without drama while keeping vibration and harshness at bay. In its first year, the 500 could produce 400 gross horsepower at 4,400 revolution per minute, but the real show was the torque, producing 550 pound-feet at a mere 3,000 revolution per minute. This low revolution per minute strength meant that even a nearly 20-foot-long, 2.5-ton Eldorado could launch from a stoplight without hesitation. Air and fuel flowed efficiently through thoughtfully shaped intake and exhaust passages, allowing the engine to breathe deeply and push its cylinders to deliver smooth, continuous thrust. As the 70s progressed, federal regulations and fuel economy measures reduced output, yet the 500 V8 retained its character. Compression ratios and tuning were adjusted, but the torque remained substantial, proving that true strength is measured in pull, not just peak horsepower. Even mid-decade models produced more low-end grunt than many modern smaller engines, and a simple set of upgrades like camshafts, intake, or exhaust could release hidden potential that made this engine feel alive again. Every component was engineered with durability and refinement in mind. Thick cylinder walls allowed future growth, cooling systems managed heat effortlessly, and the engine's architecture supported luxury accessories without compromise. Its presence was undeniable, making this V8 a marvel of American engineering. Number 7. Chevrolet Vortec 496. Let's fire up a V8 that punches like a truck with a caffeine addiction. The Chevrolet Vortec 496 V8, also called the Vortec 8100, is the last big block ever made by General Motors, and it knows how to pull, haul, and grunt with style. With 496 cubic inches of displacement, this engine produces 340 horsepower and 455 pound-feet of torque, making even the heaviest pickups, Suburbans, and vans feel like they are gliding on butter while towing trailers, boats, or whatever you can imagine. Torque comes early at just 1,200 revolutions per minute, so everything moves instantly when you press the pedal, and the narrow rev window closing around 4,000 revolutions per minute keeps the power concentrated where it counts. The Vortec is built on the tried-and-true Generation 7 big block, effectively a 454 with a longer 4.37-inch stroke, paired with a 4.25-inch bore. 4-bolt main caps, short and long intake runners, and cathedral-style intake and exhaust ports give this engine durability, airflow, and efficiency that make it perfect for heavy-duty work. Electronics and fuel injection were upgraded from older big blocks, letting it breathe better, run smoother, and respond faster, proving that old-school design can live in the modern world. Even though this engine is massive, it isn't just raw strength, it's smart strength. With updated engine management, LS-style intake, and precise tuning, The Vortec 8.1 delivers reliable, predictable performance, whether it's pulling a load down the highway, climbing a steep grade, or moving a full Suburban with a trailer attached. Its ability to handle serious duty without complaint makes it one of the most respected gasoline engines ever fitted to trucks and commercial vehicles. While its torque and horsepower might seem modest compared to some modern diesels or turbocharged engines, the Vortec 8.1 shines in real-world applications. Its naturally aspirated layout means instant throttle response, fewer complications, and incredible durability. It was even used in boats, buses, and motorhomes, where reliability and predictable torque are critical. With the right upgrades, such as camshafts, aluminum heads, intakes, or stroker kits, this V8 can hit 685 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque, showing that even a late-era big block has untapped potential, ready to surprise anyone willing to play with it. The Chevrolet Vortec V8 represents the pinnacle of gasoline-powered big block engineering from General Motors, combining traditional strength with modern refinements that make it one of the most powerful and dependable engines ever installed in trucks, SUVs, and commercial rigs. Number 6. Pontiac 455 Super Duty. The Pontiac 455 Super Duty V8 is pure power, waiting to explode through tires and asphalt. With 310 net horsepower at 5,000 revolutions per minute and 390 pound-feet of torque at 3,600 revolutions per minute, this engine delivers thrust that makes smaller cars look like go-karts in comparison. Its high revving capability up to 6,000 revolutions per minute ensures every gear change feels like a rocket firing. And the forged steel 7/16" connecting rods, MagnaFlux for strength, guarantee that nothing bends or breaks when the engine is pushed hard. Moreover, the pistons are TRW forged aluminum, fitted with moly-filled 1/16" top compression ring and a special high revolution per minute oil ring. This design gives more material to the lower ring, solving previous problems while providing room for high-performance upgrades like 12.5:1 compression ratios. The pistons can even be modified for floating pins if a racer wants, but the stock 8.4:1 compression keeps everything reliable and smooth for street driving. A cast nodular iron crankshaft with rolled fillets holds the rods in place, and while Pontiac would have loved a forged crank, the cast crank has never failed in testing. Proving durability can come without fancy extras. The Super Duty block is reinforced with 4-bolt malleable iron bearing caps, extra webbing around the camshaft, and provisions for a dry sump oil pump. Oil pressure is boosted to 80 pounds per square inch by a new high-pressure pump, and screwed-in plugs prevent leaks that could rob vital lubrication under hard use. Cylinder heads feature constant cross-sectional ports, improved valve seats, swirl-polished valves, and non-Siamese heat riser passages to maximize airflow and combustion efficiency. Intake manifolds include built-in exhaust gas recirculation passages, while a quadrajet carburetor with larger primary bores and a high-capacity air cleaner ensure that every ounce of fuel is put to work. Speaking of camshaft, it is a high-lift unit, moving valves 520 thousandths of an inch off their seats with hydraulic lifters rated for high revolution per minute. Rocker arms are upgraded to a 1.5:1 ratio, with options to go to the 1.65:1 when paired with Ram Air 4 components, increasing valve lift and flow for more power. Exhaust valves are crafted from Inconel 751 alloy for turbine-grade heat resistance with chrome steel stems, while intake valves remain at 2.11 inches to keep fuel and air rushing in efficiently. Even in its factory-detuned form, the 455 Super Duty is a torque monster that moves cars with authority, giving incredible mid-range throttle response, effortless cruising, and the potential to be transformed into a drag strip king. With high-compression pistons, wilder cams, and open headers, this engine can easily surpass 550 horsepower, showing why it remains a legend for performance enthusiasts who crave serious power and engineering that works beautifully. Number 5. Oldsmobile Rocket 455. V8 is pure muscle that grabs the road and never lets go. With a 4.126-inch bore and a 4.25-inch stroke, it delivers up to 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, giving cars the kind of shove that makes tires squeal and heads turn. Even without modifications, this engine pushes hard from just over 3,000 revolutions per minute, making every gear change feel like a shove from a freight train with a sense of humor. Forged connecting rods, balanced rotating assemblies, and aluminum pistons mean the Rocket 455 can handle aggressive cams and high revolution per minute thrills without whining about it. The W30 and Hurst Olds versions of the engine turned the 455 into a highway monster, featuring more aggressive camshafts, forged rods, and aluminum pistons. With a longer stroke than its 425 predecessor and the same wide bore, the Rocket 455 combines torque and horsepower perfectly for straight-line fun. Low revolution per minute grunt is as impressive as high revolution per minute rush, meaning the car feels alive whether cruising in traffic or racing down a drag strip. The engine breathes through large intake valves, balanced dual-plane manifolds, and well-portioned aluminum heads, making sure every ounce of fuel and air becomes motion and excitement. Oldsmobile didn't stop there. Cylinder heads were redesigned for better airflow, combustion efficiency, and valve life. Exhaust valves were crafted to handle high temperatures without complaint, while intake valves stay big to keep air moving fast. Camshafts were built for high lift and long duration, with rocker arms designed to increase valve movement, letting the engine gulp fuel-air mixtures like it was at a buffet. Hydraulic lifters keep everything smooth while letting the Rocket 455 scream at high revolution per minute without valve float. And swirl polish ports make sure every puff of gas is turned into forward motion efficiently. Fuel delivery and ignition were never afterthoughts. Dual-plane intakes paired with a high-capacity carburetor send more fuel and air than a hungry engine could eat in a week, while an MSD ignition system with billet distributor and 0.3 inches wires ensures every spark hits on time. On the dyno, the Rocket 455 produced over 500 horsepower at 5,200 revolution per minute and 179 pound-feet of torque at 3,700 revolutions per minute. But the real fun is its ability to make 567 pound-feet at just 3,100 revolution per minute and still hold almost 500 pound-feet at 5,300 revolutions per minute. That is torque everywhere you want it, making this engine a thrill in any car, whether a classic 442, a Toronado, or a Restomod hot rod built for laughs and speed. Every little detail, from forged internals to ported heads, shows why the Oldsmobile Rocket 455 is a legend for those who love power that makes you grin while it pushes you back in your seat. Number 4. Buick Stage 1 455. The Buick Stage 1 455 V8. With a 4.313-inch bore and a 4.25-inch stroke, this engine makes 360 horsepower and a monstrous 510 pound-feet of torque straight from the factory, ready to shove a 3,800-pound car down the quarter mile like it owes you money. Even at low revolutions per minute, it pulls hard, making every launch a grin-inducing shove while keeping its cool thanks to cleverly engineered internals designed to handle both street and strip. Forged pistons, heavy-duty rods, and a balanced rotating assembly mean the Stage 1 455 can gobble high revolution per minute runs without flinching, letting drivers push it toward its rev ceiling without fear. But that's not all. The Stage 1 package takes this muscle and tunes it for low-end grunt, making the Buick Grand Sport lively from idle to mid-range. Cylinder heads were built to flow like water over rocks, with larger valves, improved ports, and intake manifolds designed to deliver air efficiently to every combustion chamber. Camshaft lift and duration were carefully chosen to give the engine personality, letting it roar when the throttle is mashed but also stay manageable for everyday cruising. Each moving part was calculated for durability, making sure this motor can deliver its power with a smile for years. Low revolution per minute torque is king here. So even heavy Buicks like the Skylark GS feel lighter than they really are when the engine plants its power through the drivetrain. Buick's engineers didn't forget about fuel and spark either. High-capacity carburetors and dual-plane intake manifolds send a hungry mixture of air and gasoline into the engine with a kind of precision that only years of muscle car wisdom could achieve. Ignition systems hit each spark exactly when needed, turning chemical energy into motion that makes tires squeal and rear suspensions squat in approval. The combination of efficient airflow, well-timed ignition, and strong internals means this engine makes a driver feel like the car has superpowers. Additionally, optional upgrades pushed this motor even further. Stage 2 components included forged pistons, higher flow cylinder heads, improved exhaust headers, and camshafts with a personality that screamed for attention. Compression ratios were raised to make the combustion more potent, letting the engine hit numbers approaching 500 horsepower. when the pedal met the floor. Even in a standard Stage 1 setup, the motor produces enough torque to impress any muscle car enthusiast, making it a formidable presence in the GS, GSX, and even larger Buicks like the Riviera and Electra, where sheer shove counts more than nimble handling. Number 3. Ford 427 Camry. The Ford 427 Camry is a V8 that flips the rules of pushrod engines upside down and laughs while doing it. With single overhead cams perched above each cylinder bank, this motor tosses out pushrods like yesterday's newspapers and opens the door for straighter, larger intake ports, letting air and fuel flow like a river on a sunny day. Hemispherical combustion chambers give the Camry a punchy, efficient burn, turning every ounce of gasoline into a shove so strong it can make a full-size car rocket like it's on a trampoline. Even with its modest factory setup, racers discovered that the engine could crank out a potential of 600 horsepower, making it the sort of motor that makes other V8s sweat. The heart of the Camry starts with the FE 427 block, but everything else is reimagined for speed. Forged steel crankshafts and pistons give it a toughness that laughs at hard launches, while machined cylinder heads and the single overhead camshafts keep timing precise. The camshaft runs a roller chain nearly 7 feet long, which sounds ridiculous until you realize that Ford engineers made it work by staggering cam timing between banks to handle chain slack. Eventually, gear drives replaced the long chain, letting both cams run smoothly and eliminating timing headaches, proving that clever engineering can turn crazy ideas into reality. Air and fuel meet in the Camry like a rock concert, thanks to optimized carburetors and intake manifolds that channel airflow perfectly into hemispherical chambers. Ignition is precise, with each spark striking on time, making every cylinder hit like a drumbeat in a symphony of horsepower. The combination of high revolution per minute strength, low revolution per minute grunt, and refined airflow lets the engine be a master of both drag strips and street launches, shoving cars down the quarter mile while keeping drivers grinning from ear to ear. Even the idler shaft, which drives the oil pump and distributor, is designed for efficiency, keeping lubrication and spark in harmony while the engine spins through its revs. Oil passages sealed by steel bushings protect the internals from wear, while mirrored camshafts make sure both cylinder banks breathe equally, creating a balance that makes every revolution per minute feel alive. Pushrod V8s look at the Camry and politely step aside because this overhead cam marvel is in a league of its own. Drag racers quickly realized that this motor was no joke. It powered Comet funny cars and AA/fuel dragsters, making tires howl and spectators jump out of their seats. Stage upgrades, gear drives, and high-performance fuel setups let the engine push closer to 600 horsepower, a number that even today would make a modern V8 blush. Number 2. Chevrolet 632 cubic inch double Z V8. The Chevrolet 632 cubic inch double Z V8 is a monster that laughs at ordinary engines and makes them look like go-karts. This engine pumps out 1,004 horsepower while spinning up to 7,000 revolutions per minute, and it does it all without a supercharger or turbo. You heard that right. Pump gas is all it needs to unleash earth-shaking torque of 876 pound-feet, giving drivers a shove so strong it could launch a small rocket if anyone let it. Every part of this motor is designed for precision, from its iron block to the RSX cylinder heads that channel air and fuel equally to all 8 cylinders, making each one work as hard as the next. The heads are symmetrical, which is a fancy way of saying the engine treats every cylinder like royalty. Each intake port and exhaust port is identical, so power is perfectly balanced and consistent. Air flows smoothly through CNC machined aluminum pathways, and 8 port injectors spray fuel at just the right time. The crank trigger ignition ensures sparks fire exactly when they should, giving this engine a heartbeat that pounds like a marching band at full volume. This design is not only smart, it is the kind of engineering that makes a V8 feel alive, as if it knows exactly what you want before you even touch the gas pedal. The ZZ632 shares its block with smaller ZZ572 engines, but engineers bored the cylinders wider and gave it a longer stroke of 3/8 of an inch to reach its colossal 632 cubic inch size. Connecting rods were redesigned, the rotating assembly forged for strength, and 4-bolt main caps hold everything tight during hard launches. Engineers even tested the motor on a dyno for over 200 simulated drag strip passes, proving it can take abuse and still deliver perfect performance. It is the kind of engine that could outlast your patience in a traffic jam and still roar like it just left the starting line at a national drag race. In the 2023 Chevrolet Camaro, the ZZ 632 turns every launch into a spectacle. Torque hits hard at low rev, giving the car a shove that makes your eyeballs feel like they are glued to the seat. By 6,600 revolutions per minute, the engine reaches its peak power. But the fun does not stop until 7,000 revolutions per minute, where it still breathes and roars with authority. Forged internals, high-flow heads, and precise fuel injection mean that every second is packed with consistent, street-legal monster power. Number 1. Chevrolet 454 Cubic Inch Rat Motor V8. The Chevrolet 454 cubic inch Rat Motor V8 rules the streets and drags alike, and it does it with a grin. This engine could produce up to 450 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque in its legendary LS6 version, making every launch a thunderous shove that sticks you in your seat. The engine spins happily to high revolutions, delivering raw power to the wheels, while the car tears down the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds. It is not just an engine, it is a declaration of muscle car supremacy, and it made everything else on the road look like it belonged in a go-kart class. The LS6 is the top version of the 454, and it was designed with an iron block and heavy-duty cast heads that could take any abuse a driver could throw at them. The engine kept the 4.25-inch bore of its predecessor, the 427, but stretched the stroke to 4 inches, giving it the kind of torque that makes even the heaviest car feel nimble in a drag strip launch. A solid lifter camshaft worked in harmony with a Holley 4-barrel carburetor bolted to a specially designed aluminum intake manifold, ensuring fuel and air hit the combustion chambers at just the right moment for maximum performance. Beyond this, Chevrolet made the LS6 tough with a forged steel crankshaft and forged aluminum connecting rods, all held in place by 4-bolt main caps. The compression ratio of 11.25 to 1 meant this engine loved to roar at high revs, while the port heads with a 2.19-inch intake and a 1.88-inch exhaust opening let airflow like a hurricane through the motor. The optional cowl induction hood could feed outside air directly into the carb, giving an extra thrill to drivers who wanted the ultimate street-ready package. Not only this, the power of the 454 Rat motor made it the king of the streets when it appeared in the Chevrolet Chevelle SS and El Camino SS, leaving competitors like the Mustang Boss 429 and Plymouth Hemi Cuda scrambling to keep up. Every cylinder worked in harmony, each one contributing to the engine's signature grunt and high revolution per minute authority. Even when emissions rules started to clip its wings in later years, the 454 V8 remained a favorite for durability and ease of maintenance. Mechanics loved it because parts were plentiful, and racers loved it because it could be modified to make even more power with simple upgrades. If you love these insane big block V8s, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more engine power content. Don't miss out on the next horsepower-packed video.